What's up, guys? Welcome to Blue Presents a podcast where I discuss all things music. And today I'm talking with the two-time hardcore champion of BattleFront Pro Extreme, Ryan Fraust. We're going to talk about music, we're going to talk about wrestling, and we are also going to talk about, just everything that comes with being a wrestling fan / music fan, and how both of those relationships, whether you're in a band or whether you're a wrestler, are identical. So sit back, relax, enjoy this episode. And also, if you'd like to be a guest on my show, reach out to me at Podcast of Blue on Twitter or on Facebook and Instagram, Blue Presents Podcast. And like I said, enjoy this episode. Thank you, guys. What's up, guys? Welcome to Blue Presents a podcast where I discuss all things music. And today I have my first wrestling guest ever, and I'm so very, very excited. It is the two-time hardcore champion of BattleFront Pro Extreme, my man, Ryan Fraust. How you doing today, Ryan?
I am healthy. That's what's important.
Exactly. So, Ryan, just to start my show off, and we're going to do something a little different as well, I'm going to ask you what your top 5 artists are, but also I'm going to ask you your top 5 wrestlers.
And you do mean musical artists,
Yes.
I do.
Yes.
I take it. Because,
Yes,
there's plenty of, Baroque painters and statue carvers. What's that? A sculptor. That's a sculptor, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not going to list off Ninja Turtles. I'm going to list off musicians.
No, probably not.
So it's a loaded question, because if you're like me and most metalheads are, at least most of the metalheads I've encountered and spent time with, have an eclectic taste, and they're not just obsessed with metal. They like a lot of. So if you were to ask me my top 5 artists straight up, no delineation, I would have to start my list with Stevie Wonder and the King of Pop, Michael Jackson.
You got no arguments from me right there. Those are two great artists right off the
one
rip.
and 1B. You know what I mean? No real contest. Bruce Dickinson as a singer and as a solo artist. All the metalheads, I can hear them as I say this. They're going to say that I'm an asshole, but like Bruce Dickinson's solo albums like Chemical Wedding and Accident of Birth and Tears of the Dragon, I actually prefer to most Iron Maiden.
Wow.
So Bruce Dickinson, Stevie Wonder, King of Pop, Michael Jackson. And that's where everybody else kind of is also great. Nevermore. I absolutely love Nevermore. Opeth before.
Ooh.
And I don't want to say before, I don't want to cut off anything, because they're so great, and since they turned into a prog rock band, they're still fucking great. But Blackwater Park to me was such a monument in my life. But then I have to say Devin Townsend as well. So then you're going to get 6 out of me. I hate to say. But.
No, you're good. You're good, man. Hey, you do whatever you want, champ. I'm not worried about it.
What about you, Blue? Does anyone ever ask you what yours are?
Oh, man. Actually, I have had a few. I've done a few episodes where I kind of sprinkle in. And much like you, I have an extremely eclectic taste. I grew up, listening to mainly hip hop and R&B. I also grew up listening to gospel music as well, too, before I became a metalhead or, into things like metalcore and hardcore and deathcore and all the other cores that come with the cores.
Can I make a confession since you just said that?
Yeah.
On 94.3, the Rhythm of the City out of New Haven, is the only radio station I will let sit on my car.
Okay.
And on Sunday mornings, gospel music, and I've got a thing against either Christian or satanic music. I just don't think when I want to listen to music, it's not about religion; it's about whatever else. But dude, I'll leave that gospel. Some of that shit is pure fucking metal. Some of that is hard. It's cool stuff, man. It's soul music, literally and figuratively.
Yeah, no.
I can get down to some gospel. I just,
Yeah, and
I want to throw that out there.
Yeah, no, I grew up with a grandmother who, she was from the South, so we were raised Baptist, and a lot of the gospel music was like, revival stuff, Kurt Franklin, Yolanda Adams. These are like staples of like the black gospel scene. And those were, the vocal range is so crazy that these people who aren't making as much money, but are more talented, if not as talented as a Beyonce or, whoever popular right now, Nicki Minaj or whatever, BS. But they,
well, okay.
Yeah.
That's different.
I don't know what the kids are listening to these days. I don't listen to the radio. I listen to usually like playlist or something someone suggests to me, and I'll go and I'll take a deep dive into it. It all depends. And I'm much like you. I'm not really big on the religious aspect, but I do like music that has kind of a message in the way of positivity as opposed to negativity. But I see why both exist. For sure. So we're gonna continue, man, and you got to hit me with these 5 wrestlers, man. And you know what? Because you challenged me to a question, I'm gonna answer what my top 5 wrestlers are.
Your top 5 wrestlers?
Yeah. I'm gonna give mine too. So you start.
Are you going first, or do you want me to go first?
I'd love it if you went first.
So this is such a dilemma. It happens all the time.
Yeah.
The top 5 always turns into a top 10.
Mm-hmm.
But I can say without a doubt, you must. And this is not like my Mount Rushmore.
Okay.
This is not my
Yep.
This is not who I think are the 5 greatest wrestlers of all time. These are my personal 5 favorite wrestlers. It has to start with the Macho Man Randy Savage. It always will.
Oh.
I loved Shawn Michaels so much
Mm-hmm.
at the time that he was wrestling
Mm-hmm.
that I have to include him here. And it cannot be denied that there was nobody better in the history of wrestling as an in-ring performer.
Mm-hmm.
But as I've grown older, I've kind of learned enough about him and the business aspect to kind of be not interested in rewatching all the old matches. I don't know. But there's nobody better than Shawn Michaels.
Oh, yeah.
And on that note, it's Bret Hart is the other side of that coin. He was not as technical as everyone seems to remember. He didn't do a whole lot.
No.
But everything he did was done with conviction, and he's got to be in there. And that's 3 of 5.
Mm-hmm.
And now you get into Chris Jericho.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he was never the biggest and strongest and meanest and craziest, but he has stood the test of time. He's reinvented himself a million times. He's been a champion everywhere he's gone.
Mm-hmm.
He has made other people look good at all times. Rob Van Dam.
Mm-hmm.
Without Rob Van Dam and Jerry Lynn, you wouldn't have all the crazy spot business that's going on now. They paved the way for so much of what happens today. But RVD had so much more charisma and gave so much more complete performance to it. And Jerry is always going to be a top 5 ring guy, but RVD is a top 5 form.
No, I love your list. Your list is really good, for real.
And we're already at 4, and there's how am I not going to include Lance Storm? How am I not going to include Jake the Snake, Roddy Piper? For what it's worth, CM Punk as not entirely as an in-ring guy, but everything else.
Oh yeah,
that's where it gets tough to do 5.
Yes, sir, it does. But that's the pressure. That's the pressure I'm putting on you.
The pressure you're putting on me, if you're going to force me to pick a number 5 when I've already given you Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels, Randy Savage, and Chris Jericho, it's going to have to be Kurt Angle.
Ooh, love it. I'm not even mad at it. It's what can you say about a guy who is technically a fucking freak of an athlete? On top of that, he can do funny shit too. He's not just limited to being a serious wrestler. He's also can be extremely hilarious as well too.
And he could be funny as a good guy and funny as a bad guy. He could be badass tough guy is good guy. Badass tough guy is bad guy.
Yeah.
He can literally do anything you want him to do.
Mm-hmm. Multifaceted.
Except at this point in his career walk.
Oh,
because
God.
the poor guy is destroyed.
Oh, that one was cold. Yeah, no, you're not lying about that. So I'm going to go with my top 5, and I'm going to start where you left off with Chris Jericho. And for me, Chris Jericho's character, as it has evolved over the years, he's never come back and given you the same stale piece of bread where it's just like, and no disrespect to Hulk Hogan and obviously anybody in the wrestling industry, but, let's face it, Hulk Hogan's known for the red, white, and, yellow. You know what I'm saying? And doing all the craziness. And then obviously he changed himself with the NWO, but still, Chris Jericho's just come back and has changed. And you think about how many years he's been in the business. It is so hard, I think, for things to be new. You know what I'm saying? If you really think about it, a lot of what we're seeing now, you've already seen years ago. Someone pretending to be some character before from whenever. Whether they're trying to portray a character from the 80s or whether they're trying to portray, like WWE style, like, at one point everybody had a job. You know what I'm saying?
Right. You're wrestling repo men and you're wrestling garbage men and you're wrestling police officers. Yeah,
exactly. So Chris Jericho is my number 5. My number 4, I have to go with Finn Balor, but not Finn Balor now in WWE. I'm talking about Prince Devitt when he started the Bullet Club and how revolutionary it was for this person to go to another country and get over all these guys who are not native to that land. You know what I'm saying? I definitely think his work stands out, and some of the things he did in the Super Juniors were fucking phenomenal. I don't think we would have Ricochet and Ospreay without having Finn Balor do what he's done. Him and Juice and Thunder Liger, those guys are fucking phenomenal. I could put those two together if I wanted to. Obviously, Jushin has had way more of an impact, especially when we're talking about like high flying in Japan and stuff like that. So yeah, Finn Balor, and I'm gonna go Juice and Thunder, like kind of in that same realm. For me, wrestling, I really love characters. You know what I'm saying? So. I'm huge into like characters. So my number 3 is probably going to be The Undertaker. And just thinking how he's been able to continue to keep doing that same character and still have that mystique. And I don't even care that he lost to, Brock Lesnar at, WrestleMania or whatever the case is. His character has stood the test of time, and he continues to go out there with, even if he doesn't have the best working hip right now, he still continues to go out there and, give these young guys something to look up to, if you will. I think that's one of those things I really like. I don't know how you feel about
Remind me at the end of your list to tell you what I was taught about The Undertaker.
I feel like I'm
good. It's a good thing.
Yeah.
It's a good soundbite.
So that was my number 3. My number 2, it has to be Jake the Snake. I don't know how.
Number 2 overall, like your second favorite wrestler ever.
Yes, is Jake the Snake, man. And I'm not
I
gonna
love
say,
that.
Yeah, well, I'm not gonna say it was something that's happened over recently. It's actually something someone pushed me to watch more of Jake the Snake. And every time I watched Jake the Snake, I just kept thinking, why the hell was this guy not a world champion? He could just, oh my God, he could just piss off so many people, but also at the same time, he could inspire so many people. You know what I'm saying? Like, he just had this control. And the one thing I love about Jake the Snake was he didn't do a lot of yelling. He did a lot of just, I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to go down to that ring. I'm going to beat the ever-loving hell out of you. And that's what I love about him. It was like controlled rage. Like, he was going to fuck you up, but he was going to do it in a way that just like, damn, I mean, what else am I supposed to do? He just told me he's going to whoop my ass. What am I supposed to do now? You know what I'm saying? And I think that's just, oh man, it's something beautiful to watch. And thank God for the WWE Network for letting me have that ability to watch all of that stuff. Now, my number 1 was the first person you started on your list, and it's Macho Man. Absolutely love Macho Man. And I don't know if you've ever listened to Bruce Pritchard's podcast, Something to Wrestle With. His impersonation of Macho Man is fucking spot on. Yeah, he tells some great stories about Macho Man and how Macho Man does things. And I found I was always a fan. When I was a kid, the bright colors and everything he did. I think the first wrestling event that I ever got to watch and kind of understood what was going on was WrestleMania 8, him and Ric Flair. And oh my God, what a fucking spectacle between those two, and how Macho Man sold his leg the whole time, and just everything. You know, a lot of people go with WrestleMania 3, which WrestleMania 3 is spectacular. If you haven't watched it, and like I said, I didn't watch it when I was a kid because obviously I think I was maybe 2 years old when that happened. But going and watching it back is an absolute Matt classic. But him and Ric Flair, you're talking about two of the greatest wrestlers, which I feel like bad now that I think about it. I left out Ric Flair. Holy shit. And yeah, that's crazy. But yeah, no, Macho Man has always been the guy. I liked Hogan, but it was Macho for me every time. I don't know, just promos, his unhingedness about his character, and just the wild shit he used to say, cream rises to the top, man. Seriously.
Yes. And you've got a guy who's, he wasn't huge by any stretch of the imagination, but he was like a normal sized wrestler, which is a big motherfucker. And he's screaming off that top rope with that elbow drop. Like, that's impressive.
But you got to think intensity. His intensity was just, Hogan's was the same way, but his intensity was just, oh my God.
I don't think Hogan's was the same. No offense. I just mean like the intensity of Randy Savage is like unparalleled.
Oh yeah. No, it just, oh my God, freak out, just everything about how he said, what he did, how he came to the ring, how he dressed. Just thinking about, what was that? WrestleMania at not Madison Square. I think it was Caesar's Palace, or was it Trump? No, I think it was Trump's, where he came out every single match and it was a different outfit. It was a different robe. It was just like someone has to be so detailed that he did that. It was like like when you go see an artist and they have like 6,000 set changes and stuff like that, but he did that. Different boots, different trunks and stuff like that. Just amazing to me.
Yes, absolutely.
So
this thing about The Undertaker.
Yeah, that's what I was about to ask you. What's up with The Undertaker?
I like your top five. I also think it's funny that you realized you left out Ric Flair. I mean, Ric Flair is like maybe even the first face on Mount Rushmore, but like he's not like, and he's a lot of people's favorite wrestler, but I get it. Like, I'm with you on that. Like, he had the same match for 40 years, So this Undertaker thing, the general manager tested strength out with Bill Hoff said to me, like, we were trying to talk about who the greatest of all time is, because these conversations happen. Fans have them all the time, so do wrestlers. Because, whether every wrestler wants to admit it or not, like, you were a fan, that's why you wanted to do it.
Exactly.
So the Undertaker, can you name more names that have been either made by or worked extensively with the same individual? It's like the 5-6 degrees of Kevin Bacon.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
The Undertaker worked with Hogan, and this is as the Undertaker. I'm not going back as far as like Dean Marcalis or the Skyscrapers. I'm saying like his first world title program with Hogan, like Hogan, Bret Hart, Flair, Jake the Snake, Jimmy Snuka. But then you go into the Attitude Era. He did Austin. He did The Rock. He did Mankind. And then you move on from that. He did Batista. He did Orton. He did Cena. And you move on from that. And then he did Shawn Michaels at the tail end of Shawn Michaels' career. He did Brock. He did Brock when he was young, and he did Brock when he was established. He did the Big Show. He did the thing with Kane. He did. The Undertaker has had everyone, every single person. And there's been a lot of complaints about how the Undertaker has not had great storylines with many people. Like, at the same time, he has done a little with everybody.
Yeah, and I think that's the key to just being a wrestling fan, and like I said, I'm not going to sit here and claim I know the business or anything like that, but I think that's the key to every great wrestler is having the ability to go in there and mix it up with anybody. Because I mean, think about matches between him and Rey Mysterio; they're actually really good. You know what I'm saying? The big man, small
and Triple H.
Yep.
You know.
Yeah, no, and especially because it's when I think about it, what did they do even before that, WrestleMania 18, that was probably one of my favorite Taker Triple H matches. You know, the other two were, you know.
You mean 17?
Yes, 17. Yes.
I apologize. The American Badass, like, all 10 anywhere one?
Yeah. That wasn't bad, where I think they finished up what was on top of, like, some scaffolding or something like that, something set up off
that
the
was
side.
The first time I thought The Undertaker was going to lose.
Really? I don't know. No, I didn't see that.
And I don't even mean at WrestleMania. I mean in general. I was like, The Undertaker's going to lose this match. Because Triple H kept pulling out all the stops. He had the fucking sledgehammer, everything. When he had him up for the last ride, and Triple H bopped him in the head with that sledgehammer, I was like, that's it?
Yeah. No, I thought, to be honest with you, the Randy Orton program, the first Randy Orton program, that thing was so hot, it wasn't even funny, man. I just remember watching it back, 2005, 2006-ish? And I just thought, man, Randy Orton is going to be fucking huge because just so... And to be honest with you, I've always thought Randy Orton sometimes could be kind of dull in the personality area.
I can't stand watching Randy Orton, bro.
I'm sorry, but I thought
wrestlers
yeah,
give me so much shit. They're like, you have no taste, you have no culture. Randy Orton is the greatest, and it's like, I don't know, dude. I don't get it.
You want to hear something hilarious? My wife has this conspiracy theory that him and Jinder Mahal are the same person.
Randy and Jinder?
Yeah, she said they're so boring.
Hey, she and I are of like mind.
So anyways, we could talk about this stuff all day, and we're already 21 minutes in and we've talked nothing but pro wrestling, and that's awesome. This is what this episode is going to be about. But I kind of want to start and ask you, how did it start for Ryan? How did it start for you? What schools did you go to, or what school did you go to kind of get you started in wrestling? Or maybe you want to start even a little bit further back when you were in music. It's up to you.
I think I could do both.
All right.
So, like, I grew up watching, WrestleMania, like on VHS, on the living room floor at my great-grandparents' house, And I always wanted to be a wrestler. And I did, like any wrestler, even if they tell you they didn't, I did backyard wrestling in high school, with my friends. Although we did it before, and I might be dating myself here, but we did not know other people did it.
Yeah.
Like, we did it ourselves. Like, there was no knowledge of it existing outside of our yard, We changed T-shirts to change characters. And then, we got older and we took it more seriously. And, like, we did, like, Boy Scout troop events and, like, birthday party events. And, like, to us, it was everything in the whole world.
Of
like,
course.
It was my friends and I, Scott Warziniak included, Scotty Anarchy. He was in my group. We did this. And it was my idea. Like, I started it. And we had, by the time we were done, it was like all of us together, like Scott's middle brother, Paul, and younger brother, Mike, are like, by the time we were done, they were the ones who, like, made a ring for it and everything. Like, we had a really cool thing going on.
Wow.
In our minds.
Okay. No, for sure.
But then you grow up and you're like, oh, everyone. But to us at the time, it was epic. And I went to college for acting because I thought that was more realistic than wrestling.
Okay.
And if I look back and see that even at age 18, I was, 6'1", 6'2", athletic already because I wrestled in high school. Like, if I had started wrestling then, I absolutely by this point would have been on TV somewhere. That's a shame. You look back and maybe, you could have done a thing or two differently. I went to school for acting, and I graduated, and I was doing acting, and I was singing with metal bands.
Mm-hmm.
The first metal, and I realized this podcast is typically about music, correct?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, so so I started singing for metal bands, and I was in a band called Symphony with a good friend named Paul Mallory.
Mm-hmm.
And we did like Slayer, who I never even liked. Oh no, metalhead, sorry.
Oh my God.
You know, we did Maiden, and we did all the classics and shit.
Covers, okay.
And then I was in a band called Ariakan, which is my favorite band that I've been in. That was a blast.
Okay.
I was with Mark Lyon, who's been in a million bands, including Genesis and now Fat Astronaut.
Okay.
And with Ariakan, because of Mark's drive and know-how as far as promotion is concerned, we played with like Dio and Anthrax and Wasp, and we did some really cool opening shit.
Wow.
And then I was with Lyra most recently, which was a lot of fun. I was with friends, but they needed more out of a singer. Like I had a really capable falsetto, and I had really good, like, gritty, clean tone.
Okay. All right, I
like
that.
But they were looking for pure power metal, like soaring, like blend of the high voice and the low voice, and it wasn't exactly my thing. And we did well, and we wrote some really cool stuff together, but it just didn't work out. And my first band was Red Mud Rising, and all we did was covers, and it was just me and some friends from home.
Yeah.
And that's where I fell in love with playing music, because like we just had so much fun.
No, that's great. I mean, that's amazing. I mean, I remember the first few bands I started in, it was more like punk based, and I don't know. We weren't really good with our instruments. We didn't really know how to play very well.
It was punk, so that worked.
Yeah. Yeah, it was very bad, but it wasn't until I fully embraced the fact that I sucked at bass and could be a better vocalist than I was a bass player. And then things kind of took off for me and stuff like that. And I would have to say the first, I would have to say the first couple of bands I were in were probably lower than trash.
Wow. You say that now, but at the time, I'm sure you loved doing it.
Oh, yeah. No, for sure. So how did we go from being a metal singer, backyard wrestling, into Ryan Faust, the most badass motherfucker in BattleFront Pro?
Oh, thank you for that. Well, it's really, I was like 35-ish. Oh, I was younger than that.
Oh, wow.
I was older than 30, but I saw Ron Celentano posted on his Facebook about a Stevie Richards seminar in Connecticut.
Okay.
And I was like, dude, and I knew him from his role as guitarist of Nasty Disaster and also as a fan of wrestling. So, I messaged him like, hey, man, listen, I'm not trying to bug you, but this seminar you're talking about, is that like, can somebody who's never trained at all go to this and see what's up? And he said, let me ask Stevie. And like, now that I'm in wrestling and like I see how people interact, I realize how everyone knows everyone. But at the time I was like, oh my God, he knows Stevie Richards. Wow.
Yeah.
He was like, yeah, here's Steve's email. Just hit him up. And I'm like,
wow.
What?
Yeah.
I'm going to reach out to Stevie Richards?
Yeah.
And I hit him up, and he was like, yeah, of course, come on down. Now I realize, and this isn't anything against Stevie, this is what wrestling seminars are.
Yeah.
Of course he wanted somebody else to cough up $30 and come listen to him talk.
Of course.
It doesn't matter if you don't even like wrestling. Yeah, you're going to pay $30, you can come, of course.
Yeah, I mean, somebody's got to pay for that.
At the time, I was like, oh, man, I'm so cool. I can't believe I get to do this. And it was at PWA in Connecticut, which was run by Joseph von Schmidt, his wife at the time, Kara. Went down, and that was super cool. I actually can boast that I knew answers to a question or two that Stevie was asking that even the guys who were training didn't know the answer to. I was like, oh, cool.
Yeah.
And, you know, it was a dope experience. And then I started training at PWA in the daytime because I was a waiter and I was working at nighttime. So I would go down there and do one-on-one trainings, and I got in great shape, and I was killing it. And then I just, you know, I started dating this girl, and things went south with that, and things went south with me making money, and and the training was all the way in New Haven, and I was working all the way up in Waterbury, and it really, like, kind of fell out of it.
Yeah.
And then, you know, years went by. I tried to get out of waiting tables. I tried to I did. I didn't try. I succeeded. I was working in sales. I was doing a bunch of different shit. And always just like, man, I wish I was still trying to wrestle. And eventually I was traveling country for sales. And when I came home, I said, you know what? I'm going to see if they're still open. And they were open in Cheshire. Which was closer to Waterbury than New Haven.
Yeah.
I started training there again, and then they closed.
Wow.
And they referred me to Slick Wagner Brown at Test of Strength.
Okay.
Which is where I currently train. And that's where it's not PWA's fault necessarily that I wasn't ready to give everything to my training. But by the time I started driving out to Hartford to go to Test of Strength, I started taking it more seriously, and I got more out of it because of me. Not, you know, I'm not talking junk about anybody. I'm saying I was a better student at Test of Strength.
Yeah, no, and you're more receptible to it, and you were looking for something more than what you were getting out of it before. And I think that's with anything you do in life, you're going to get what you put into it. Pretty much. Yeah.
So, you know, I start going Test of Strength, and then I'm really like, you know, I'm never going to be the best guy in the ring. Like I'm going to try. I'm definitely going to cut as many corners as I can, and I'm going to break the rules, and I'm going to act whatever it takes to win, given any opportunity. But, you know, that's where I really, you know, the Fraust name and persona was given to me. You know, I didn't come up with it. It was a suggestion that I rolled with. You know, everything was kind of dependent on my, you know, nobody said you have to do this.
Exactly.
This is a gimmick, kid. Do this. You know, they were like, you know, this seems like it would fit you based on how you're performing. And I think it's gone well. People, it seems to be pretty well received pretty much anywhere I go.
I would have to say the first time I saw you in Ludlow, I was instantly hooked as a fan. The way you walked into the room, like you were disgusted with everyone, was the most amazing thing in the world to me. I felt it. It felt real to me. It felt like you could be anywhere else and everyone can kiss your ass about it, you know? And that's what I like.
What was your first BattleFront event?
I think it was, what was it? Dang.
Just what are some of the matches? Cause I don't remember all the names either.
Okay. I'm trying to remember the match. I know it was the one, actually it was the one where, Dirtbag Dan and, I forget the gentleman's name, had the barbed wire wrapped, wrestling match.
And they had the barbed wire match.
Yeah, the one where you walked out on Fear the Masses and you like shook them for everything that it was there. I'm sure you probably could have busted them in the face and started doing your own song if you wanted to. It was that
was a good one.
No,
I don't think I had a match. I think that's where I stole the hardcore title.
Yes. Oh yeah. You got pinned and then you turned around and you pinned the gentleman that was dressed like a necromancer. And I thought
that's that one.
Yeah.
That's where I fought Sandman.
Yes. Oh yeah, Sandman came out and beat the shit out of you and the new Impact players. Yeah, I remember that, you and TJ. And I just remember thinking all three of you guys are just fucking absolutely amazing together. Slade with his like his voice and his ability to just, as soon as he has that voice that reminds me of like Vicky Guerrero, where it's just like as soon as you hear him talk, you're just pissed off. You're just like, please stop. But
he is very good at drawing heat. For sure.
Oh, yeah. And then TJ was just his arrogance, and I loved it. But it was you that really stuck out to me. And I was just like, I don't know who this guy is, but I don't care what he thinks about me. I think he's awesome.
Well, thanks, man. You know, it's like you have to. So BattleFront is where I've had the most. It's hard to say success because like Test of Strength is home, and that's where I've had great moments there as well. I haven't always come out on top.
Yeah.
But that's home. That's like I'm always going to try my hardest. I don't want to say it like that because I don't want it to sound like I don't always try my hardest. What it is it's like I don't know how to put it. You only get. You can do as much as you can with any opportunity you're given, but you cannot control the opportunities that you're given. Right?
Exactly.
Test of Strength has given me great opportunities. Battlefront has also given me great opportunities. Battlefront is where they give me a live mic if I want. Like, I can talk, you know, and that's at my age and at my level of experience as far as in-ring stuff goes. Like, if you want me to get over, you need to give me a mic. Like, you need to let me do that so that when I get in the ring, they already feel it. They already know that they probably hate my guts.
Yeah.
And Battlefront has by far given me the most of those opportunities. And in the course of stealing the Hardcore Championship, which if you weren't at previous events, then you don't know necessarily, unless you've done research, that before the Sandman, you know, I had Just Incredible was wrapping up his DVD, which isn't out yet, but whatever. I had a thing with him that was glorious, and he was in the best shape he's been in 10 years. It was fantastic. And then the Filthy Family, Dirtbag Dan, like you're talking about.
Yeah.
Dirtbag Dan was the Hardcore Champion. The Filthy Family was defending both the Tag Team Championships and the Hardcore Championship with Freebird rules.
Yeah.
And a Hardcore title is a 24/7 title. So the way I procured the Hardcore Championship the first time was by jumping Johnny Chill of the Filthy Family as he was at ringside supporting Dirtbag and Big Cal while they defended the tag team title. So there was no one to come out and rescue him. I had all my heavies with me, making sure that nobody could interfere. Like, it was complete awful cowardice and intelligence, and so
well,
that's how I became Hardcore Champion.
Exactly. Well, you know what they say: a win is a win.
Yes, even if it's not even a match, you know.
Exactly.
And you know, you talk about the Sandman thing. I mean, this is one of the greatest things I could have done as a person or a wrestler. You know, the Sandman. I have a very short fight, but I mean, he beat the tar out of me.
Whoa! I just kept
piss out of me
every time I heard a snap. I felt it like in my chest, in my stomach, in my back, man. Oh my god! Just the way he finesses with that kendo stick cannot be understated. And every time he hits you guys,
don't forget the table. He's doing that whole table suplex gimmick he does, where he just drops a fucking table on you.
Oh my god!
Took a couple of those, and you know, managed to beat him. Because I am 2-0 against the ECW World Heavyweight Champions. I'm just saying, for the record.
I'm just saying, at this point, do they just hand you the ECW World Heavyweight Championship? I mean, like, for real, man. Like, seriously.
No, I think I'd have to beat Lashley for that.
Oh, no. Actually, I think the last one was Ezekiel Jackson. Because remember, he beat Christian on the last episode. So
I don't even want to fight him, dude. but
yeah, that's a big dude. That's a really big dude.
But Then Kevmancer comes out. That is the first individual, as far as any of us can tell, and this was before that movie Peanut Butter Falcon came out.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of people have seen it since and been like, oh, yeah, Peanut Butter Falcon. It's like, no. Battlefront had a hardcore wrestling champion
mm-hmm.
who had Down syndrome.
Mm-hmm.
Before that movie came out, before it was a thing.
Yep.
No, Battlefront had that,
And I got to ask about
that. And then I pinned him back for it later in the night. Because
I'm a piece
of shit.
Yeah. I mean, who else is going to break everyone else's heart? So I got to ask about that situation because, to be honest with you, I thought my first time going to a Battlefront show and seeing that, and like you said, Battlefront is willing to give you that microphone. How was that, putting that together and having that moment? Because it was an awesome fucking moment. You know what I'm saying? I felt like really cool. And then when you turn around and got him, I was just like, oh, I gotta love it though. I love it. I love the betrayal. It's just like you got this moment of hope, and then within a few matches, you're just like, yep, about to take that back.
Well, you have to consider we couldn't have Kevmancer continue defending the championship because of he's not a trained wrestler.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of legal liability there.
Mm-hmm.
So even if I'm a bad guy for doing it, we had to work something out. We had to make sure that I got it back. And that was Angel Sinclair. She's an angel, for lack of a better term. I don't know how many more Battlefront events we're going to get her to be with the new Impact players, but she definitely had a huge hand in that, distracting Kevmancer for me. It was, I don't want to ever, it's funny because people will say, how did you lose to a guy with Down syndrome? And I'll say, you mean the guy who I beat back for my championship?
Yeah.
Exactly. It's the fact that there was a champion with Down syndrome in Battlefront professional wrestling before there was anywhere else, and before the movie that, kind of brought more awareness to that area. I think it just speaks volumes for Battlefront's kind of like a Island of Misfit Toys to begin with, which you've heard said about ECW or other places. Just somewhere where the fans have a huge amount of input into what goes on. They love their product. They're going to come see it. They're going to pack that house every single time they go there, no matter who's on the poster. And you just want to give them the best event you can.
No, and I think you guys really do that very, very well. I took my wife to the All Tone show, and it was her first time seeing anything that wasn't WWE, and she relayed to me that she was extremely entertained. She loved the story. She followed it throughout the night, and she felt like she didn't need to go back and watch a bunch of episodes. She felt like she was right in there, and she knew every little, understood why there was twists and turns and how things happened the way that they happened. And that speaks volumes to you guys, and especially doing it in a place that's never had a wrestling ring in it before. I thought you guys did an amazing show, for real.
Well, and there's something to be said about, there's promotions, and I'm not going to mention any by name, but they have a ton of stars, and they pay a lot of guys a lot of money, and they don't tell stories. They just make sure that the ticket buyer sees the name that they mean to come see. And maybe it's a good match, maybe it's a great match, maybe it's an awful match, but it doesn't matter because they can't see that individual. They did not come to see a cohesive story told from start to finish. And that's where, any promotion that I have input on, I'm going to do as much as I can to help that happen. I don't have to do that. Test of Strength does that completely without me. Battlefront does that without me. These promotions do that. I'm not saying I am the reason it happens. I'm just saying that that is what makes me want to be there.
Exactly. It's very
because
similar.
I know my strength is going to be in contributing to a story that's being told, as opposed to doing a 640 into a Canadian, you know?
No, I mean, it's like a producer working with an artist and getting the best sound possible. You know, there's certain things that the producer can provide to that artist and give them, okay, here's this, maybe you should try this. And, you know, maybe you feel that similar way when it comes to BattleFront and Test of Strength, where they're just like, okay, this is the direction we're going for the night, but add your flavor here, or try this or try that. And you guys kind of come to a comfortable middle, I'm assuming, and put on one hell of a show for real. And I think that's fucking spectacular.
Well, again, and I'm thrilled that you feel that way. You know, you've been to a couple of them and you really enjoyed them. That makes me really happy. I'm sure that makes everybody really happy. You know, there's a lot that goes into doing it. You know, it's different than just like, okay, you're fighting him. This guy's gonna, you know, do this. Yeah. You know, when you're really thinking about like, okay, so what is going to happen here? What's going to happen here? How does it have to relate to this? Like, that's all. It's important stuff.
Yeah, no, and the fact that you guys are also adding the musical performances as well too, and I thought it was really interesting when first time I saw you guys in Ludlow, that you came out and you actually interrupted the end of Fear the Masses set, and it kind of like tied everything together. Can you speak to how that adding the musical performance along with the wrestling, how it makes for such a complete package together?
Yeah, it should all be married to each other. It's all part of the same production. And there are other times, you know, Crossing Rubicon has actually opened up for Test of Strength event as well in Naugatuck at what used to be called Tazrax. But that wasn't tied into the event. That was just like, these guys are going to play some songs, to warm you up, and then we're going to put on a wrestling event. You know, that Altones event was more of a cohesive effort, and some of the wrestlers were actually kind of pissed off. You know, they felt slighted. They felt like they should have been the stars instead of these bands that were brought in. And it's like, at the end of the day, if the band sold more tickets than the wrestlers did, give the fans who came to see what they want to see what they want to see. Right?
Yeah, I mean, it helps. I mean, if you really think about it, it helps everybody out, and it's giving. Personally, I think I love stuff like this because a lot of people don't realize the life of a wrestler is very similar to the life of a band, and especially when you're starting out, it comes with a lot of.
I'm telling you right now.
Yeah,
wrestling and music are identical.
Exactly. You got to sell yourself to get somewhere.
And acting is not far behind it.
And I think that's, like I said, I think that's like. What's cool about your character is you're willing to recognize that it's more than just one piece. It's a bunch of pieces together that pull things together. And I even feel like the entourage that you carry, you, Slade, TJ, just kind of you guys are bad guys, but you guys are a group of bad guys that just specialize in different things, you know? And I think it works. And like I said, it just reminds me how much music and wrestling are cohesive. They're almost the same thing.
Well, I want to actually tell you one more thing about that pairing, that group, because it's not. I don't want to sound like too much of a good person here, you know? But I was going to have a lumberjack match against Scott. And this is way before you made your way to a Battlefront event. But I was going to have a lumberjack match against Scott, and Battlefront Pro Wrestling wanted all their guys around the ring. And I'm the guy who's been arguing with Scott. I'm the guy who's been wanting the match with Justin Credible that they wouldn't give me, or they were going to give me, and then he went to jail like I said he would. You know?
God.
Well, and that's what happened. You can go back.
No, I saw the video. Yeah.
Facebook.com/Ryan F. Wrestles. If you scroll down far enough, you'll see the entire saga unfold. You'll watch me predict that a man will get in trouble and go to jail, and he does. I was supposed to wrestle a childhood idol of mine on my birthday, and he couldn't be there. So I got Brutal Bob Evans instead. and we've since actually become like, you know, respected peers. As I wouldn't say peer. Bob Evans has done everything in the business.
Yeah,
but he sees me as a peer as opposed to, you know, when I was picking a fight with him because I wasn't getting my way. You know.
No, I saw a video of. Yeah, no, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, but I remember
no, go ahead. What were you saying?
I remember seeing a video where you even went to Scotty's work, and I thought that was crazy awesome. I was like, wow, this guy.
What happened?
Yeah, it was a video of you showing up where Scotty Anarchy works, and you were like, I got a message. Yeah, oh my God, it was amazing. Best video I've ever seen. It was just like, wow, this man went all the way to this guy's job.
Well, I also showed up at the set. What's not be the best, but.
Yeah.
So, but that's the thing. We've been friends forever. Like, we grew up together, and then he comes to BattleFront trying to shill his band and get this Just Incredible documentary going because he reconnected with Just Incredible. Like, good for you. Like, you guys are friends again. You fucking whatever. So, you know, naturally, it had to escalate into a match because we were just at each other's throats. Anyway. And it was a lumberjack match, and I was not going to walk in there without some of my own background.
Yeah,
and you know, my TJ Howell III, who I have since started a tag team with, you know, is a friend of mine.
Cold Cash.
Slade Dangerfield, who is also a hip hop performer named Peasy, who you can check out on SoundCloud, like dope.
Also check out his
and
podcast.
And he also does commentary for Test the Strength.
Yeah. He also has a podcast as well, too, To Be Blunt.
He does.
Yes.
To Be Blunt podcast. Yes. And then, and Big Jake Sampson, is the individual who, he lives farther away. You know, he gets here when he can, and it's always great to have him because we need that muscle. And I've tagged with him a number of times as well. So I brought them in, and I had been harassing BattleFront. I've been like, I've got guys. Listen, and it wasn't to back me up. It was like, listen, let me bring some people in because you need more talent because you're boring because you got too many of the same faces all the time. And they kept saying like, oh yeah, well not on this one, but maybe on next one, maybe next one, maybe next one. I said, you know what, fuck it, I'm bringing in my own lumberjacks.
Exactly.
And all I meant to do was introduce BattleFront to Big Jake Sampson, Slade Dangerfield, and TJ Howell III, who, if you see them in person, you cannot deny that they would make a great addition to any professional wrestling roster.
No, I'm with you on that one. I love watching their videos. I love watching your videos with you and TJ. I'm trying to get a sponsorship to, you know.
But that's all I wanted to do. All I wanted was to get them each a spot at Battle. The spot that BattleFront wouldn't let me give them.
Sad.
So then maybe that might have instilled a little bit of loyalty in them. I'm not sure, but from that point forward, they were with me. And now we've got this new Impact Players thing, which wasn't even my idea to begin with. But you know what? Fine. You know, if Just Incredible is going to continue to be a jerk, and he's not a jerk, I'll tell you this, and you know, kayfabe be damned, he's a great person. Yeah. He's trying his best to stay out of trouble.
Bled all over my wife and me at all tones.
Yeah,
legitimately.
Right. He's a great person who's trying his best to stay out of trouble. You know, and he's doing a lot better than he used to. But if he's going to continue inserting himself into my business at BattleFront, where I've established myself, then yeah, we're going to keep digging back at you.
Hey man,
so
disrespect is disrespect.
We got the new Impact Players, and you know, if Scott and Just Incredible want to keep kind of poking around and kind of starting shit, then I'm just going to have to continue to remind them, like, no, this is my house. This is where I'm doing my thing. I don't even know what you're doing here, and yeah, that's about it.
Hey man, I'm not mad at it, and I totally, you know, you heard it here first, man. You know, I think there should be a match, man. I think we need something serious. I think there needs to be some consequences and repercussions for the disrespect, for real, man. It's insane.
No, it's okay. I mean, you can if you go to Ryan F Facebook.com/Ryan F Wrestles, or if you look on either Mike Avitable, Avitable, that's the Fogman, or Don Kincaid and the Kincaid Files,
Mm-hmm.
you can find my footage of all of my stuff. You just go on their YouTube and you look for Ryan Frost.
Mm-hmm.
My entire saga with
Mm-hmm.
Just Incredible, my beef with Sandman, my
Mm-hmm.
beef with Scott, the match with Scott, like all of these things are readily available. You can look them up if you need to, if you want to, and I appreciate anybody's interest in it, to be honest.
For real. And I mean, definitely check out Ryan. Ryan is such a unique character in himself, but also at the same time, man, I'm just trying to understand, why aren't you the Battlefront heavyweight champion? You're the hardcore champion. I think there's another title there that you can take. I mean, hell, I think you could be the tag team champion by yourself if you wanted to, too.
Well, that's also very kind of you. If I were to be a tag team champion anywhere, I would insist on bringing either Jake Sampson or TJ Helford with me.
Cold cash, baby.
Cold cash.
Oh, yeah.
Money. So I don't mean to diminish the Battlefront championship in any way.
Mm-hmm.
And Jiggy Sosa had been a fighting champion,
Mm-hmm.
a very competent champion.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you've seen the recent issues where he was online and he was,
Mm-hmm.
putting up a fit. And I, as far as I know, what Battlefront is going to do is crown a new champion on May 9th, unless COVID-19 prevents it.
Yeah, we can only hope.
The fact that I am the hardcore champion,
mm-hmm.
and I said this in Ludlow, it's the most important championship in the building because the company has built itself upon hardcore wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
So that is the championship that I hold. It is not only the most important because I hold it, but it is also the most important because of what Battlefront represents.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't mean to say that the Battlefront Pro Wrestling Championship is not important. I think it's very important.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to represent the entire company with that championship one day.
Mm-hmm.
But at the moment, what Battlefront needs is to scale back all this hardcore bullshit because it's stupid. That's my opinion.
I love it, man. And with that being said, man, I think that's awesome and how you value that championship. And I think it looks good on you personally, honestly,
Oh, thank you.
But with that being said, man, I just want to say thank you for being on my show and hope everyone recognize and check out Ryan. And it sounds like we can find you on Facebook at Ryan F. Wrestles.
Just saying for Instagram and Twitter as well. I just don't use Twitter much. I guess I should start, but
hey, it's a hard thing to navigate. I'm not even gonna lie. I do a mediocre job at best. So, but I just want to say
thank you for having me, man. It's been a long time coming. We've been talking about it for a while.
Yes.
I'm excited at the prospect of doing an in studio.
Yes.
Like
I said, we got to get the rest
everybody out there support this. It's really cool to have people on the ground level of music talking to people at the ground level of music because it's the most genuine shit you're going to hear. Stick around and check out everything else Blue's putting together.
I greatly appreciate that, man. And thank you so much. Hopefully we can get you and everybody together in one room and we can kind of, talk about how amazing you guys are and why you should hold all the gold.
Well, we'll see about that. But thank you so much. Have a great night, man.
You too, man. Thanks.